different people in different sections, wherever it is, it could be financial or politics, military, and each branch and side there is confusion and division. And even in their standard operating procedures manual, policies and procedures manual, it's a lot of confusion. If you can manage to get your hand on a real copy that they have, sometime if they know who you are, those are the first things that get locked up on the cover, because they don't want you to read it and expose them. So even though they say one thing is whatever they said, there is no unity in any given subject. So there's a lot of confusion into medicine and to food and to whatever, even religions and all these, the Buddhist religion or the Jewish religion and the Christian religion or the Hindu religion. There's all these confusion, and so you don't know, because it's built on the knowledge of black and white, like the masonry floor. And which is directly or indirectly getting you to fall on this flippant understanding of the black and white because of your lack of understanding as to reading what's really behind the entire book of the Quran, or what's behind the book of the Bible. Again, we're going to go into rooter. I'm going to take this deep in the next couple subjects, and then we could go over exactly how it's structured. And but that's why the human instruction opens all books. You will be able to open any book and be like, yes, this is of God, this is not of God, and be able to decipher exactly what it is, as opposed to, or those who read in a figurative sense and those who read in a literal sense. So you can have a Bible and you can be like, well, the word says this and the word says that, when it was never meant as a figurative word. Literal word. So you're reading it literally when it's supposed to be figuratively, and you're going to read it figuratively where it's supposed to be literal. But again, all books will be open as we continue. So negative people sometimes add to more confusion, especially if you're living with them. Some people start moving your stuff around, and you'll be like, you know, you left this here, and you might have a partner that just likes to, she's a deviant, or he's a deviant. So they're moving your stuff around. I said, why you move stuff around? It was right here, it was organized. Why you moved it? And or this is where it's supposed to be, and they put it where it's not supposed to be. Or also using your stuff without asking. And so they use your stuff, and they'll be like, you know, sometimes you don't want to get in trouble, people in trouble, so you might want to stay quiet, just, you know, clean up your stuff and just take it, you know, take it back, as opposed to be like, go home, expose this, and get them in trouble. Again, what the Spirit tells you to do. So you'll be like, you know, I'm just going to let it slide because they're going to get in trouble, and not let it happen again, because then now you know their belief is that there's a certain belief that says it's better to use it and then ask for an apology later than to not use it when you need it, when it's in their grasp. But these people are hypocrites, and sometimes they use your stuff and never apologize anyway. So just use your logic. Again, what's the end objective? If it was no harm, no foul, you fix it up, okay, that's fine. But it depends on where you're at, what's the situation. So these negative people create this society, and they have these negative procedures, usually all secretive. Usually they all rely in the end in some sort of coveting, and they do not. They fear to say who they really are. But again, these people are lost. They, as well as anybody else, need forgiveness and guidance. So, you know, that's your first objective. And then over time, if a person continues to be negative, then it'll be revealed. Then they need to, well, whatever the policy calls for. And again, not never punish anybody higher than what is called for. That's appropriate, because then that'll make the law worse than it'll make a law part of the problem instead of the solution. They use subversion instead of cooperation. And they want to punish you or intimidate you as opposed to free choice and, again, cooperation. They had created this web of deception. A lot of time it's diplomatic, economic, scientific, political, and diplomatic. They can use anything, any objective, any widget or animals and children, all in a way in order to continue this negative structure, even these solutions to a lot of problems that if it contradicts a major corporation, some people pay for your patent just to squash it, as opposed to using and investing in that patent to help their business grow and let everybody else to have a better life, or a cleaner atmosphere, better invention, and as opposed to doing that, they'll destroy it. You can look at many people like Ford with the car that was made out of hemp, and that was unbelievable, because then you're just growing these materials, and it's easily maintained, but they destroyed that. Or there's a whole mess of inventions by a lot of different scientists, including Tesla. And for him to have died like that, I'm sure they offered him some sort of awards posthumously, because while he was alive, it was a lot of disrespect. They called him like he was mad, insane, and they used him in the Superman cartoons, and he was the bad guy, and they thought him a lunatic. Yet while they're thinking he's a lunatic, they're stealing all his ideas and patenting all his ideas, and nobody's giving credit, as opposed to, and then when he dies, the government comes in and snatches everything before they let you see it. So here's a super brilliant guy that we could have used him while he was alive in order to create even a better society. What they had is they had rejected him in society, so he died, this guy, feeding pigeons in the park, as opposed to sending a team of scientists working around 24 hours a day, creating this great think tank in which, how do we do this? How do we create? Because he had that ability to almost pinpoint what he wanted to find, especially in a scientific point of view, where we can create a much better world. And a lot of his ideas are still not being used due to the fact that there's a lot of, head of corporations that has their hands in politics to make sure that things are done in a certain way, which only helps hurt our planet and our society, as opposed to having inventions that help and create a better world in which we can all benefit from. And they're using all these negative excuses about overpopulation, about how, climate change and everything, as opposed to using everything in such a way that to our benefit, in which then we're told the truth and then we benefit from. So as opposed to having one straight logical truth, they'll have just contradiction after contradiction after contradiction. So they don't represent balance. They represent unbalance. They technically, so that would also make them represent a negative side, which is unbalance. So they don't represent the light, but the darkness. not love but hate. They try to imitate light by its own darkness, which is destructive. So they try to tell you what love is by not showing you love. Tell you what good is by lying and showing you not what good is and saying that's good. So you see action and you know it's bad, they'll say it was good because they would say so, not because they're going to use it to be good or learn from it, but rather regurgitate on the same fashion. So they would say the good is bad, and the evil is good. The wrong is good. The crazy, the good is they'll claim you as a lunatic or whatever. They'll label you. And they claim the honest people are dishonest, and then the dishonest people, they say they're honest, to further confuse, divide, and control. They like to stay in problems, complain about problems, yet their solutions are more problems. It was what they wanted. So they create a problem, and you know the solution is B or A, and they'll create another problem, which was their objective, saying it's the solution, but it's a further problem. So they'll create a problem to say that we need a solution, but if you come with a solution, they'll say no, that's a problem. So then they'll create a negative problem and say it's a solution when they're just making things worse. And you was like, well, didn't we use this system to help from that system? And it was like, yeah. It says, why is this system even worse than the last system? So there's a problem. They created another problem saying it's a solution as opposed to saying a solution. Now, if you know it's a solution and you even use it in front of them, there's different ways to eliminate it, the whole concept. Usually they'll put a lot of people in fear for their life to even talk. But a real positive master would be like, hey, I'm just going to keep talking. They knock me out. Hey, that's all right. I'm moving on. I ain't got time for this idiocracy. So it goes with your neighbors and people and who continue this pattern and create a society which people aren't feel free to go out willy-nilly and have a great time. It's like you're going out to have a great time with your wife, and then a cop pulls you over, and he just harasses the hell out of you. And then, you get back in your car, and you ain't did nothing wrong. Now you got 2 or 3 tickets, and you're trying to have a good time with your wife. You go a couple blocks down, and they do the same thing over and over again. You're not even going to want to leave, and that creates another problem. But, knowing the way these energies work, you'll be able to maneuver around it. So they're projecting these negatives to control directly, indirectly, using these media, governments, as we said before. This is a way, it's illogical, and again, using a negative format, negative environment, creating pollution and problems over time. Deliberately causing problems and then saying, oh, this is just it happened by mistake, when they had deliberately, that's what happens when this happens, when they had deliberately made not only the problem happen or helped it along or helped invest in the problem in such a way, but that to help further destroy what the other person had originally that they had guided to destroy something. So they schedule with their negative scheduling. It's all what they had designed and planned: negative objective, negative procedure, negative body language, voice, words, beliefs, and a negative language. And that's something that is going to be real good. It's basically IQ and C. But we'll go into it into depth. IQ and C is I is basically the body language or signs and symbols. Q is the form of questioning or a problem that needs to be addressed. N is noise, and C is confusion. And this is a form of dialogue. All of language is based on that. But I digress. We're going to get into that a little later on. So you are their objective. The negative is you. I mean, the negative, the objective they're looking at is you. Unless you're part of the problem, then they will only want to help you and continue on that same problem sort of person you are. So they could either lock you up. So again, you're enslaved now. They could either lock you up or let you free to do all this continuous negative. Following their playbook of procedures, lies, their objective is always to get you to be negative because you're no longer free, but you're in bondage. You're a part of their negative. You are bonded to them. You're a slave now when you follow that structure, and you're repeating the same behavior. And they like to make you feel unwelcome, being aggressive, belligerent, either little to no compassion, but yet they want you to have all the compassion for themselves. They do not want to get hurt, but they want to feel free to insult you all they want. So while they're insulting you, they're having a great time. But the minute you open your mouth and insult them, that's a whole nother system. And some people are so ignorant that, you can beat them up with just a back slap, and they have no control of themselves. The only control they're going to get is when you punch them in the face because they lack control. So therefore, they're acting ignorant. So here's this skinny, wild kid. He don't got no sense. He's acting like he's Mr. Macho Man. He's yelling and spitting in your face and approaching you like he wants to attack you. He got no control over himself, no finesse, and he's talking really rude and just pouring out all this hate that he has no idea usually what he's doing. And then when he gets hit, he's like, oh, look at this. Or if you yell back at him, in other words, the same energy, you go back on him, and then next thing you know, he wants to hit you. And so he's doing all this, not realizing who he is and what he's doing. At some point, you're doing him a disservice by just trying to be nice to him and let him go. Now, there are some people that are acting like this that they really need love. Sometimes you see a woman and she's just ripping into you. She's yelling and she's just all angry. And you just grab her and you just hug her. Just hug her. And she'll just start crying and crying. All that anger and rage, but no love was ever given to that guy or that girl. And so therefore they're just angry, just so bitter. But when they feel a little love coming from some good source of energy, all that just dissipates, it melts away, and they just cry. A lot of times they're like, I'm sorry, like they don't know what's going on. It's like they're looking for the light but don't know how, and thinking that if they follow this negative evil, thinking that that's some sort of light bearer when there's no light there other than darkness and death. But the true light bearer is the one, the singularity. Again, we can go get deeper in. Right now we're on the negative side of this. So they're going to deceive you. They don't know. A lot of times, again, these people, they don't know why they feel in pain. It's just a lion that's angry that doesn't realize that he has a thorn in his foot. You take his thorn out of his foot and he no longer wants to eat you or be mad at you, and he just licks you. You see that a lot in animals. They're trapped and they're all fighting, man. And then you release them out of the trap and like they're surprised. They're like, well, this guy didn't kill me. I guess they think they're going to trap, the animal might think they're going to trap him and then behead him, but the trap was from somebody else, so he's trapped, and some poor person, some good person walks by and says, oh my God, look at that little animal's in all this pain. Let me help alleviate him. So they alleviate this animal, and then he's stunned. He was like, you can see